first glance you could see why I chose him for number 6. Honestly, it looks like what would happen if Satan decided he wanted to be a kaiju to destroy the Earth. And he started out as a number of smaller creatures that combined into him. So it's some sort of satanic, organic, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Anyways, of course, he is amazing to look at visually. And he looks like he'd be the final boss in any game, honestly. So, yes, this is my choice for number 6. And for number 5, Godzilla does Crystal. It's funny. Anyways, I chose Space Godzilla, a half-clone of the original Godzilla. His backstory is more or less that somehow Godzilla's DNA wound up inside a black hole and it spat out this creature, Space Godzilla. Of course, one of my reasons is that he's visually entrancing, but also he really comes out as a genuine villain. He uses Godzilla Jr. as a hostage to lure Godzilla to fight him. So, not only is he interesting to look at, he is probably even more interesting to see get blown up by Godzilla. So, I count him as number 5 for his bastardness. Growing into number 4 is Biollante. Much like Space Godzilla, Biollante is a half-clone of Godzilla himself. In fact, Biollante is the first of the two to have been born from Godzilla's DNA. The difference is that, oddly enough, for some reason, Biollante is a female kaiju, which is strange considering that Godzilla is a dude. But I digress. In fact, she barely even looks like him. In fact, it looks more like a crocodile fused with a Venus flytrap. I guess it's the hunch or whatever the hell is on her back that resembles him. But, yes. She also has these Venus flytrap tendrils and the ability to spit out a deadly acid at Godzilla. Of course, the first detail is that she is very entrancing to look at as a giant plant. But also, she is the very first of the whole Godzilla cloning genre thing, whatever you want to call it. So yes, I count her among favorites. It just wouldn't seem fitting if I did a Godzilla countdown without adding this one. For number 3, it's King Ghidorah, the greatest possible rival for Godzilla, the Seto Kaiba to his Yugi, the Medusa Gorgon to his Maka Albarn, the Megatron to his Optimus Prime. Yes, ever since who knows how long ago, Ghidorah has been the lifelong enemy of Godzilla. Of course, his origins sometimes are different. For the most part, it's that he originally came from space and was used by aliens to destroy Earth. But there was at least one time in which he was used to defend the Earth. these two are always on the opposite sides of the board. And that is why I count him in number 3 for the epic rivalry between two powerful godly monsters. I could go on forever about this one. Zilla is my number 2 favorite. Now, admittedly, the movie wasn't the best. In fact, a lot of people hated it. Admittedly, though, it does have a number of followers who love the kaiju himself. He was intended to be a remake, but instead failed, especially since he was gunned down on the Brooklyn Bridge at the end of the movie. But Toho, the creator of Godzilla, allowed him into the family of kaiju rather than just let him fade into history as a terrible lizard. And he did show up in Final Wars with a notoriously short, unsatisfying fight, but then he also showed up in the comic Rulers of Earth, in which he was allowed to actually show his stuff. And of course, one of my biggest reasons for liking Zilla is for kind of nostalgic reasons. You see, I grew up with the franchise. I grew up liking him, and I also grew up liking the show that he was featured in, or that was made after him. So yes, Zilla is my number 2 favorite of all Godzilla monsters. Was there really ever any doubt? Honestly, who could have been higher up than Godzilla? Anyways, Godzilla I made number 1 because if not for him, then we wouldn't have all the others. There would be no Zilla, there would be no Ghidorah, no Biollante, etc., etc. None of them. None of them could ever have happened had Toho never thought up Godzilla, aka Gojira, in his native name. And I suppose you would probably ask which version of Godzilla I would choose as my most favorite. And well, I would say Zilla, but he's already become his own kaiju. So I will say the 2014, because, of course, while the original is always the best, but for today's audience, a lot of people might not find it as effective as it used to be. I mean, it'll always be timeless and good, but this Godzilla 2014, it instills that fear that a giant monster should instill within one. So, and I remember watching him in theaters, and he actually frightened me, I won't lie. Just sitting there, listening to that long, loud roar. Perfectly genius. And that is why Godzilla will always be